Hello listeners, today's episode has a bit of strong language, and of course, my guest is Hardcore, an Indy Deathmatch Wrestler. So the conversation itself is going to cover some violent and brutal topics. However, this guy has a heart of gold, is super kind and extremely humble, and is here today to share his gift and his knowledge of what he does with the rest of us out there. And if you live in the Los Angeles area, March 30th, Hardcore will be here for Violent World by Crimson Crown Wrestling, and come watch this sick fucking action. Welcome to IPA Sessions. Welcome to IPA Sessions, a podcast for independent artists. I'm your host, Kay Jacob. And as always, we like to provide inspirations for practical application and entertainment. And today, I have one of my favorite kinds of entertainment, an entertainer of death matches. I have an Indy Deathmatch Wrestler, Hardcore. I'm so excited to bring him onto the show. I'm so excited to have him tell us about his life as an indie wrestler and all the crazy, insane things that he does for his career and his art. Please welcome to the show, Hardcore. Say hi.
What's up, everybody? Hello, it's me, your friend Hardcore. What's up, man? Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm so excited to have you on. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while now. I know we tried to do a few things in the beginning during the off season from the podcast where I was hoping to get you in for some special Christmas bonuses or something, but it just didn't pan out, and that's great because now I have you on season 2 of my show. I'm so excited to have you here, and I just want to get right into it, man. Tell us about yourself. Tell us who Hardcore is, what you do, and why you do it.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad that we were able to work this out. I know it's been a little bit of time coming, so that's my apologies. You know, having I actually work a full-time job outside of deathmatch wrestling, so free time is null and void. But yeah, I'm Hardcore. I'm a sick fuck. I love everything that I do. I'm from upstate New York. Grew up loving wrestling my whole life. Started out with, old WWF in the 80s, WCW turned into ECW, got into Japanese deathmatch, got into CZW, just passion grew and grew. And I've been, wrestling off and on for about 20 years. And things have just been really starting to pick up the past year and a half or so. And I'm loving life, man. I have no complaints. I actually met my girlfriend through deathmatch.
Nice.
We lived together. Yeah, I met her at the first Theater Brutality, which I wrestled on last night for XPW. And we ran into each other a couple times at other wrestling shows. And we have a life together now. And she's, my partner in crime. And she helps patch me up and she makes sure that I have good lighting for podcasts. And
hey,
it's an awesome life. I have a great support system. I'm doing things that I never thought I would ever do in my lifetime as a wrestling fan and as a worker. So this is, just getting to come on and do podcasts like this. Like this is, I love talking to people about it. I love the lifestyle. I love the community. I love everything about it. So this is, it's very cool to be on. It's very cool to be me. I'm very humbled.
It's definitely cool to be you. Look, I'm so glad you made it because, as of this recording, you had a match just last night. You're still recuperating. You got a couple scratches on your face. You got some light bruising. I'm honestly shocked that you look as good as you do right now, considering when I last saw you, you were just covered in blood. You were on, as of this recording, the night before you had a match for XPW Theater of Brutality 3. And that was just insane to see all the stuff you went through. And you've wrestled for some other promotions as well. Could you kind of take us through a list of what you've done?
Oh, definitely. So like I said, I've been wrestling off and on for about 20 years. Humble beginnings. I literally started with a backyard fed that I started with my friend Mark Martel in Amsterdam, New York, which is still going today. We still put on crazy matches.
WZW, correct?
WZW Warzone Wrestling out of Amsterdam, New York. From there, I went to UWF in Philly, did some, deathmatch tournaments. They're another underground federation out there. Out in Philly is also outlawed. So, we do that outlaw mud show shit in New York and Philly.
Nice.
And then honestly, just past year or so, I've been getting recognized just from that stuff. And that brought me to XPW, which I've done 3 shows now for. 1 pay-per-view, 2 Theater Brutalities. I've wrestled for Ruthless Pro Wrestling out in Detroit, which is still a dream come true. Getting to wrestle for Ruthless Pro and sharing a locker room with those guys was just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and Ruthless Pro is pretty good too. They're no joke. They got a great setup going on.
They have a good repertoire with like ICW, No Holds Barred, and you know what I mean. Like they pulled the biggest deathmatch names that you can think of. So the owner of that company actually approached me to be on that show, which was absolutely bonkers. The fact that, you know what I mean? Like, first he knew who I was. Second, he wanted me to be there.
Asked for you specifically. That's a great
Yeah,
feeling.
like sent me a text message. Yeah. And then as of recently, I've been traveling out to Detroit for a new company called True Wrestling Underground, which is a no-ring deathmatch fed that just started. I was just on their first show ever last month, and I have another one coming up in March, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. The owner of that company is just a diehard fan and wants to just expand and get big names in, and
That's awesome.
he keeps wanting me back, so I'm going to keep going and bleeding all over this poor bar.
That's incredible. And recently you said someone reached out to you for a show that you have coming up in Tennessee.
Oh yes. Brad Cash, who is, I mean, if you know deathmatch, Brad Cash has been around forever. He is old school CZW. He just wrestled
right.
in their tournament of death this past year with, I mean, people like, you know, Necro Butcher and Big F and Joe and
Oh yeah, nice. And I feel like for most people listening, those who listen to this show right now, especially wrestling fans, we may not be familiar with a lot of these smaller indie promotions, but most people, when it comes to deathmatch, know CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling. Most people are aware of that promotion. A lot of big stars in the wrestling world today that we see in other promotions like WE and AEW. John Moxley is like a 3-time champion. He came from the same humble beginnings as you in ZZW. You know, he was from Ohio. I believe you told me MJF, who's a current champion in AEW, came from CZW as well. So like, they're no small fry.
I've seen MJF do crazy stuff in CZ. I just watched a clip the other day where MJF and I believe it was Moxley actually went off a balcony through a stack of tables.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, I compare deathmatch wrestling to horror movies in the sense that, like, think of like a lot of big name actors. They get their start in horror movies, then move on to like non-horror. Just like big name wrestlers get their start in deathmatch and then move on to non-deathmatch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's so cool. That's a great analogy.
Honestly, it just came to my head just now. So,
and now I'm sorry I cut you off earlier, but take us back to this Tennessee promotion through Benjamin Cash.
Brad Cash. Yep.
I'm sorry, through Brad Cash.
It's okay. He actually was big in IWA Mid South also up until recently, where they shut down. But Brad Cash, he's putting on. It's called Brad Cash's birthday bash actually, because it's his birthday show. But he's taken notice of me and he asked me to come down, and he threw me in the main event with people like Satu Jin and I think 4 other guys. I think it's a 6-way death match, which is absolutely crazy.
That's insane.
They also have Necro Butcher on there, and
yeah, who doesn't love Necro Butcher?
Yeah, he did some crazy things last night too. I'm pretty sure he broke a kid's jaw last night. So, yeah, I mean, did ask for the match. Like, you ask for a match with Necro Butcher, you're probably going to get your jaw broken.
I mean, these things happen. I'm sure you've been through some of that. We'll get into that, but yeah, these things do happen.
Listen, if you're a wrestler, period, or a deathmatch wrestler, you have to understand that, first of all, they're not called life matches. They're called death matches. So odds are you're not coming out unscathed. If you come out unscathed, you either did something wrong or you didn't do enough, because that's just the name of the game. I don't do death match to play it safe. I do death match to do insane things and for people to chant my name and tell me how sick I am. And I think I do that pretty well.
I believe the chant is "You sick fuck."
Oh yes, and I heard that a couple times last night. So that is really, more than anything, I don't care if anyone has any, you know what I mean, like something bad to say about my match or anything like that. You know what? If the crowd's chanting that or they're chanting my name, I'm good.
There you go.
That's all I really need in a match.
Now, can you kind of take us through, you mentioned the promotions you've worked for. Can you kind of take us through what it's like, the life on the road, so to speak, of all the traveling that you do, the matches you've had, how you go about it? Can you kind of take us to that process?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a lot of gas station food. It's a lot of energy drinks. It's a lot of weed. Mostly for recovery, but I mean, you know, I like to travel with a group. I normally have I have an awesome camera guy named Kevin Rodriguez, also from Amsterdam. He is our WCW camera guy, but if able, he and another friend of mine, Levels, who I've fought countless times in many disgusting matches.
I have seen some of those matches between you and Levels. That shit is insane.
He's a very humble man and he's very quiet, and you would never assume, but that is one of the sickest human beings I've ever been able to call a friend.
You've had some sick matches, yeah.
He says maybe 2 words ever, like in life, and he'll tear you the fuck up. But I like to travel with a group. You know what I mean? Like Michael Burns, who was the referee last night at XPW, he tends to referee on shows that I'm on, so we travel together. My wonderful girlfriend Alyssa travels with me. She patches me up. She makes sure that I eat food and I don't die, and
Keeps you alive, at least for the next day.
keeps me alive. But most importantly, she loves me. She loves what I do. We actually met at the first Theater of Brutality, and then later on we ran into each other at GCW a couple months later, and we hit it off, and now we live together, and we have a wonderful cat named Cleo, and yeah.
Nice. Look at the soft side of hardcore here.
It's all about balance. I get all of my rage out in the ring, and as soon as I leave that ring, I'm good. It's very therapeutic. It's the best group therapy I've ever been a part of.
I like that you say group therapy because it's just 2 men, 4 men in a ring tearing each other up. It's great. Or women. I've seen some women at these matches tear each other up too. It's you guys are all insane, and I love it.
The women of deathmatch today, I mean, all the time, but like just recently, I mean, Casey Kirk in ICW, she was just the champion for forever. She just lost the belt
Yeah.
to her husband, actually, which is crazy. Like that's the first time that's ever happened in history. Down in
Wow.
Australia, Deathmatch Down Under, their current champion is Vixen, who is another deathmatch legend from Australia. So I mean, like
Yeah.
the women are more than capable of fucking up the men,
Oh,
if not
absolutely.
more so. Like I've seen these women be absolutely vicious. I have not been across the ring from a female competitor yet, but I'm almost terrified because they're just capable of such sick shit.
It's insane. Yeah.
And I'm not even like, you know, it's like comparing whatever to whatever. I mean, you know, it's not even a separation of anything, women to men, because it's once you get in a deathmatch ring and you're across from a person, it doesn't matter who they are or what they are, or if they have, you know, 3 toes, 1 arm, a half a head. It's go time. You know what I mean?
It's go time.
Yeah.
So now, so you told us about your travels and on the road getting these shows. When you get into these shows, what's your headspace like? You said there's a balance that you got to have, but when it's go time, I mean, can you kind of go over some of the insane foreign objects that you literally put your body through?
Yes. So before a match, honestly, I hang out. Like I like to talk to people. I actually like to help with setup before a match. I think that's very soothing for me. I very much like to build the weaponry myself. I'm very hands-on with that type of thing. It's fun to me. I enjoy creating absolutely sick things.
I speaking of, I saw the weapon you made for last night's match. You had a Nerf gun with tacks in the darts. Was it was tacks, right?
Oh yeah. I glued thumbtacks
And you
on
were
the
just
darts.
popping them into Tarzan.
I sure was. I got that gun for about $5 at my Monday through Friday job, and that was the first thing I did. I glued tacks right to them, and I saw somebody do it recently, maybe the last couple months ago. It might have been for Ruthless Pro. Honestly, someone made it, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get an even bigger gun. A super cool fan, Jonathan, brought a gusset plate chair last night, which is why I have about 400 puncture wounds in my back currently.
Whew, yeah.
So I love when the fans bring weaponry. I mean, there were people that were just bringing saw blades last night, like the straight up saw blades.
Here's some weapons to do to use. That's
When I
insane.
walked into the venue last night, it was already filled with light tubes. And when I say filled, I mean it is the most amount of light tubes I've ever seen in one area, and it was well over 1,000. Well over.
And you broke at least a couple hundred.
Well, if they're there, he said the promoter was like, "Hey, they're here. Use them." So I used as many as I could. Like I said, I'm not there for my health. I'm there to you know, fuck up the guy that's across from me, and that's what I did. That was actually my first pro win last night, so that was very momentous.
Yeah, congratulations. I would say I've watched a lot of your matches lately, especially since connecting with you and seeing all the cool stuff that you do. I was like, man, he loses a lot, but you lose in style. You look so good. You just take these ass whoopings. And then last night, I was honestly shocked. I was like, wow, you just beat up Macho Man Randy Savage. That's what this guy looked like that you were taking on. He was a big guy. And it was so cool to see this win that you got. And on top of that, you know, all the stuff that you put your bodies through, both of you guys. I mean, you had the gussets, which look like cheese graters. You're taking cheese graters to your head. You're taking what looks like sandpaper to your head, glass fluorescent tubes. You got barbed wire tables. At one point, I've seen you in a match where you took what looks like kebab sticks, just shoving them into your skull.
Viewers, oh
It's
yeah,
insane, man.
I've had tattoo needles in my head. I've had dollar bills stapled to my face. I've had razor blades in my chest. I've had saw blades in my neck. I've had. I try to do just about every insane thing that can be done. No, instead of ropes, we've done barbed wire. I actually did 2 of those in a month last year. 2 no rope barbed wire matches.
Whew.
I've had syringes through my mouth. I've had darts thrown into my back. I've had Kenzan. I don't know if anyone knows what Kenzan are.
Please elaborate.
Kenzan are actually, they originate in Hawaii and Asia, but it's literally a piece of steel, a flat circular piece of steel with spikes sticking up, so that way you can arrange floral arrangements in a artistic manner.
Oh, I've seen those.
Somebody discovered these and said, that should go in someone's skull. I've taken 2 of those at the same time.
So you volunteered your skull.
You better believe it.
That's insane.
When I wrestled for RPW, the promoter, we were putting weapons together, and he said, "Oh, Neil Diamond Cutter left these behind. Does anyone want to use them?" I said, "Obviously me."
I've seen you go through a table that was decked out with tons of like preset mouse traps and all the mouse traps going off on you. I've seen that. That's insane. That's gotta hurt. That's just like getting pinched a million times.
One of them actually attached to my elbow during that match, and that was a unique feeling. I can't necessarily say any of it hurts per se, because if that was the case, I probably wouldn't do it. I'm almost afraid that I have full body nerve damage because it doesn't register as pain. It registers almost to the point of pleasure, which is why I love doing it.
You sick fuck.
Nobody can see this right now, but I'm bowing.
Yeah. Welcome to the audio show. No, man, hardcore. Thank you so much for kind of taking us through that. Now, you just described all these insane objects that you have used on yourself. You have used on other wrestlers. What are your injuries like? Can you take us through the injuries you've gone through?
So miraculously, from wrestling, I've only had a few major injuries. I broke my shoulder during my first outing at UWF. I thought I dislocated my shoulder. And then I traveled from Philly to New York. And when I got home, I took off my hoodie and my entire arm was purple. During that same match, I also got a shoulder-to-shoulder scar from a light tube during the same match. So I'm in a arm sling as I'm trying to nurse this giant gaping gash on my chest, and the gash actually took longer to heal than my broken arm.
Because you don't really stitch yourself up. You don't have deep enough cuts for that, which is insane that you walk away with gashes and maybe a few broken bones. You said.
Oh no, I should probably get stitches after every match. I do not get stitches. I have gotten very well at first aid. I have a good first aid support system, like I said, with my girlfriend and my friends and everything like that. But I only go to the hospital for broken bones. Other than the shoulder, in training a few years back, I was training with a much larger gentleman who fell on my chest and broke my spine.
Ow.
Yeah. So I was laid up a good few months for that, but really just, broken fingers, broken toes. I might have broken a couple ribs here and there, but it's all flesh wounds really. And if it's a flesh wound, I can heal. I don't like going to the hospital. Doctors tend to frown upon that type of wounds. And then,
how'd you get this? Well,
and then they want to throw you in the loony bin. And so, yeah, I stock up on first aid. I shower with a lot of antibacterial soap after matches. Like I literally, today has been a very slow day. I actually called into work today because we didn't get home till way early in the morning, and I usually go.
Well, and you took a hell of a beating last night.
I did take a hell of a beating last night. Tarzan is not a small guy. He is made out of muscle. He is capable of doing insane athletic feats. He literally flipped me over his shoulder backwards.
I saw that. That was nuts. And you hit your abdomen straight onto the top of a steel chair. It was insane.
I don't know how I'm walking today because that was just brutality.
Well, and then he pile dropped you through the gusset chair as well. I mean, he whooped you up.
Yeah, I think this is where this gash came from on the side of my head, which I'm still surprised it didn't bleed more because this is an area where you guys can't see. I'm pointing to the temple of my head, but that is very much a heavy bleed area. So, I definitely bled, but I could have bled buckets, and it was very weird that I didn't. But yeah, that was a hell of a pile driver. I'm very hoarse also because when I tend to eat light tubes or the spooky dust that's in the air, I call this spooky throat. I usually don't sound this raspy. I sound like a small child when I talk normally. So,
well, I'm glad I got you sounding a little bit older today, and I'm sorry that you're having to come on and talk about all this after having eaten glass tubes. You insane person!
I love it. I wouldn't want to do anything else on a Friday night.
Right? You had mentioned the training and the amount of injuries that you go through, and you've been doing as well as you have because obviously you are well trained. I've seen you put on some moves. Not only are you taking all these foreign objects to your body and delivering them to others, you're actually putting on some good moves. I saw one of your matches. You looked like you were about to do a Death Valley driver and turn it into a fireman's carry, and I thought that was really insane. Like I was like, oh, this dude's got moves. He's not just busting glass tubes over people and barbed wires. Like he's actually got some moves. So I mean, you're trained. You are a professional indie wrestler.
I definitely have room for improvement. Going from like the smaller circuit to what I do now is there's definitely a difference in talent. And I'm not just saying other people, I'm saying like myself or like what they expect of you. So I'm definitely trying to improve as I go. But I mean, I used to be nuts when I was younger. I used to jump off of the high roofs and do the crazy flippy stuff. And, I used to bust out Hurricane Ranas and this and that. And I've evolved into very much a brawler type who has a move set that I'll bust out every once in a while. But I mean, like, it really depends on the situation. I'm very much into the no ring scene right now. The True Wrestling Underground out in Detroit and the Theater of Brutalities, and there's New Fear City in New York City. I something about it is very underground. It almost feels like an '80s movie where they show the future and you see the band playing in the cage and everyone's brawling.
You got a blood sport match coming up. It's really cool because you said no ring, and I was actually going to ask you because I watched Theater Brutality, and that was my first experience seeing a no ring in a professional environment.
Mm-hmm.
A no ring. I mean, it's just you just have steel barriers around the area with all of your fun weaponry and foreign objects everywhere lined up inside the steel barrier. You got the audience on the outside, and then there's just like what looks like a concrete floor with maybe a half-inch thick black mat, and that's it.
Oh, there was no mat.
Oh, that wasn't a mat.
Nope,
that was just the concrete. Okay.
Usually, I mean, every once in a while they'll throw it on a tarp for blood purposes, but there's no mats involved in no ring. And no ring actually, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it came out of necessity because some states don't allow deathmatch. So there's actually loopholes. Like the thing that we did last night is actually called an artistic performance.
I love it. It was a great performance. What a wonderful piece of art you gave to me.
Yes,
As a fan, I thank you.
Deathmatch is art. Deathmatch is art.
It is very much art. It is awesome too.
But like I said, I love the I just love the feel of it. It very much feels like an illegal underground, you know what I mean? Just bloodthirsty, everything I can hope for in Carnage. You know what I mean? Just
right.
give me something simple. Give me a pile of glass and an opponent and somebody who can tell me that I won or lost. And you know what I mean? A bunch of bloodthirsty fans calling my name and telling me how crazy I am. And I'm a happy camper.
That's excellent. Well, thank you for sharing your personal journey with us, how you got into this, why you do what you do. It's cool that you came from these humble beginnings, starting up with your friend Mark from WZW, Warzone Wrestling, working your way up the circuit. I mean, I know that as a performer, as a wrestler, you started off doing a lot of this just because you loved it, but now you're starting to actually break the bank a little bit here. You're starting to make a little income. And I like to discuss finances sometimes because a lot of our artists out there, when we put them on this show, we fund ourselves. And it sounds like in the beginning you did have to fund yourself, but now you're getting noticed. I mean, you got asked personally by wrestlers to come onto their other shows. So like you're being seen and you're getting paid for it now. Can you kind of take us through what it's like funding yourself and then finally crossing over into the more successful area?
Yeah, 100%. Starting with WCW, everything we've done ever has been out of pocket. We have literally just been a bunch of friends who have known each other forever, who have been amazing wrestling fans who just love what we do. So whenever we had a free moment or some extra change, we'd throw it right back into WCW, and that turned into going from literally wrestling in dirt to wrestling in a full-size pro ring with full production value, full camera crew, full entrance, music setup, everything like that, and then just going and showing up at shows now, and not having to bring your own stuff or drop $500 on weapons for one match, or you know what I mean. It's provided for you, and then after the match they hand you money. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a great feeling.
Like I said, I'm very brand new to everything, so I am not big name making thousands of dollars, but I have passion, and if I walk out of there with $100 in my pocket, I'm a happy camper because I just did something that I love and I got paid to do it.
Well, I mean, for anyone that's wanting to get into the wrestling world, period, whether it's as an indie wrestler or a deathmatch wrestler, you got to fund yourself. You got to train yourself. You got to take some of these classes and schools that are offered out there by many, many talented wrestlers. You did mention training, but is there any training for the use of these weapons? Like, do you have to learn? Because, I mean, obviously it's deathmatch. You're going to bleed, but there's ways to perform to try and be as safe as one can so that you can continue through.
Yeah.
Is there training for that in any way? Or is it something you learn on the job?
I mean, honestly, the only training that you can do for like deathmatch like that is try it out. I mean, like, how I learned how to take light tubes by taking light tubes. I learned how to, get hit in the head with a chair by getting hit in the head with a chair.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, there's ways to do things. I'm not, we're not literally trying to murder each other, but close enough.
Yeah, you got to sell it.
Yeah. When it comes to deathmatch, though, I mean, it's a different breed of human being. There's only maybe a few hundred of us in the world who do what we do, and you either can or you can't. And I very much can, and I will until I can't anymore.
Well, I see you going places, and honestly, I'm a big fan of MDK. You could probably be the next big MDK, who is the king of deathmatch.
Oh man, that is big shoes to fill.
It's huge shoes to fill.
And also, let me just say, Nick Cage is a good guy. Also, like I've met him a couple times. He's super cool. He actually like supports really good things. He's not one of those guys who's nice on camera and then a piece of shit behind camera.
He's a genuinely good human being.
He goes out of his way to like there's a account on Instagram, Kings Road Wrestling. Nick Gage has come out wearing his shirt, you know what I mean, for like main event stuff. So, he lets people get recognition just because he is Nick Gage and he wears, your shirt. That means now everyone knows who you are. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
That type of
He
stuff.
puts on your product, they know who you are.
Exactly. So like even like small stuff like that, like it's a very awesome community to be a part of. I've been in many different communities. I have a horror movie background. We both went to special effects school.
That's right.
Just being part of the horror community is amazing. Being part of like the metal scene for music is amazing, but there is nothing like the deathmatch community. I have some of my best friends in the entire world are from deathmatch. I met my girlfriend at deathmatch. I mean, when I walk into a show, I say hello to 50 people immediately because everyone knows each other. Everyone's super cool. There's a bad seed here and there, but you know what? The community comes together and that bad seed doesn't come around anymore. You know what I mean?
That's great. You got to look out for one another.
It's super awesome. It's like I said, I've never been a part of something that has been this. I don't even know the word to describe it. It's just I want to say wholesome, but that's obviously not the right word because of what we
I mean,
do.
there's
But
to a degree, yeah.
yeah, I mean, deathmatch is family, deathmatch is life, deathmatch is art. Everyone's super cool. Every deathmatch wrestler I've ever met outside of the ring is just super like down to earth and like cool to talk to. And it's like I said, it's a very surreal contrast, because you see these people in the ring, myself included, just covered in blood and carving up other human beings and literally cutting flesh. And then I'll come out of the ring and I'll be all smiles and I'll give hugs and I'll sign autographs and kiss babies and no, don't bring your babies to deathmatch.
Don't bring your babies to deathmatch.
Yes.
And it's funny you mentioned the metal scene. You actually recently had I don't know if they're friends of yours or if it's just a band that you knew, but there's this badass death metal band that recently did a song for you that's your theme song, correct?
Oh, yes. So I am part of a group called 740, which is a anti-440 group. 440 is wrestlers such as Atticus Kogar and Eric Ryan and Bobby Beverly. So they're like a faction out of Ohio, but they're all, heels, bad guys.
Yeah.
So I have a buddy named Shep, who is also from Ohio, who started 740. He added me into the group. So I'm the East Coast chapter of 740. There's also a West Coast chapter, but he is also...
So you're a part of a stable. I love that.
To a degree, yes. I'm literally the only East Coast chapter member, but he is also in a band called Matsunaga Was Right, which is a grindcore deathmatch band. And he took it upon himself with the band and recently did a new theme song for me, which unfortunately wasn't used last night due to sound issues, but that'll be premiering very soon. The song is called You Sick Fuck. You can get it on everything. You can get actual physical CDs on Bandcamp and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's a gross song for a gross person who does gross things.
I love it.
Yep. They threw some clips of, like my actual, like, things I've said in promotions and stuff like that, and then just absolutely ran with it. And it's the coolest thing ever. The fact that I'm even on a CD cover, the fact that a band wanted to make a song for me, you know what I mean? Like the fact that anyone wants to do anything for me is absolutely insane to me. Like I've had people who just have made like compilation videos for me just because they wanted to. I've had other deathmatch wrestlers create shirts for me just because they wanted to. Like, so it's, like I said, it's all very humbling considering that I'm just a lowly fan who gets to do crazy things. Like before the day ends, I'm just this dude who has been very lucky to live out one of his dreams in life and to be able to do that with such cool friends and people who I work with and, family members and loved ones and just across the board. I'm humbled and I'm lucky, and I don't take it for granted ever. If you see me at a match, you will definitely see me after the match, talking to every fan possible, taking pictures, shaking hands. I have 8x10s usually on hand, so I'll sign autographs, which is also crazy because who the hell wants my
My
autograph?
birthday's coming up. I'd like an 8x10.
Oh, dude, I literally have them sitting right over here. You got it. You got it. 100%.
No, I'm a fan of wrestling in general. I recently got into deathmatch wrestling in the last couple of years, just because it was kind of fun to see the world of the indie scene. And when you get into the indie scene, you start going deeper in this underground route, especially on YouTube, and you find so many cool stuff that's out there. Yeah, a lot of it's super low budget, it's super low underground, low quality, but you can see the changes throughout the years. Like, for example, with WCW, how you guys started out and then recently grown. You have a ring, you have this professional setup, you look great, the camera, the quality of the videos, and what you guys are doing is really putting on some good matches. I mean, yeah, you're not in an arena full of thousands of fans, but you're in someone's yard full of fans, and they're cheering you on and they're shouting hardcore and you sick fuck, and they're just there supporting you, and it's all from out of pocket in the beginning, and you're making your way. So I think that's really freaking cool, man. I think that's awesome.
Some of the biggest crowds I've been in front of are from WCW in someone's backyard. Like hundreds of people have, you know what I mean? Like we have built a reputation around the area that people have come from other states. People have come, a lot of our non-deathmatch wrestlers in WCW are currently making the indie scenes. Richie Rich, aka Damian Slade, who wrestles out of WCW, he's currently going big time in the Albany Schenectady area. He just got voted like the upcoming superstar of that federation.
Fantastic.
I mean, there's a couple people who wrestle for WCW who are out here in Buffalo, Rochester area who are taking off now too. So it's like after all these years of just grinding and grinding, people are starting to take notice of all the hard work we put in, and it all just stemmed from having a passion and just not giving up on this dream of just. It's literally just been a bunch of dudes and ladies who get together every year, who love the same stuff, who love hanging out with each other, and you know what I mean. It's
Beat the shit out of each other in the ring.
yeah, like I said, Levels, who I've had some of my most absolutely insane matches with, one of my closest friends in the entire world. After you have a death match with somebody, it changes your perspective of that person. Not that you would go into it with a bad or a good one, but it forms a bond. You know what I mean? When you spill blood with somebody, it literally forms a blood bond with them. Like I have hugged every single person that I've ever wrestled with. It's very much a personal thing for me. So just it's formed bonds. I don't even know, man. It's very crazy across the board, and it's very cool to see progress. And without WZW, there literally wouldn't be anything going on for me right now. Like that's the only reason I got noticed at all, is just from my humble beginnings, and it's hard work pays off. Hard work pays off.
Absolutely agree.
Dreams come true.
Hardcore, I really appreciate you sharing all this with us, letting us know. Thank you for the tips and the personal just things that you've opened up to us about and letting us know. I'm going to get into a few questions here for you that are just kind of fun, but we're going to talk about some tough times. I know that you love doing what you do, so there may not be any real tough times for you, but I'm sure you've experienced something. And my first question for you is, what's the biggest challenge you've had to overcome that you've ever faced? Or maybe it's a challenge that you're still working on.
Self-doubt. Self-doubt is the biggest challenge. I've had days where I've been an absolute mess sitting here crying on my girlfriend's lap because I was just doubting my abilities, didn't think I was good enough, and that not even based on anything. That's just me, my brain attacking itself. And you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I won't walk back a match just because I'm not satisfied with the match, or you know what I mean? I didn't think it went as well as I could have done. And then, the next day I'll get a new booking and it's like, oh, well, never mind all of that I just thought about, because apparently something is here. But I mean, like I said earlier, there's always room for improvement. I'm always trying to get better. Other than that, I really don't have any complaints. Like, I mean, maybe getting from point A to point B and travel, sometimes that's a little hectic, only because, traveling from state to state in a certain amount of time is, a little bit of a time crunch.
It's like a normal part of life's challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. But besides that, man, I have been super lucky. I'm still getting booked. I'm still, showing up at shows. I'm still doing what I love to do. So I can't complain about any of it. Yeah. There's really no downside to it for me, other than my own brain being like, hey, what if you aren't good enough? But then, like I said, I'll literally get a message the next day and be like, "Hey, you want to come on the show?" It's like, well, yeah, of course I do.
Fuck you, brain. I win.
Yeah, yeah, basically. And luckily, I have, like I said, a great support system. My girlfriend has been with me through all of this, and she literally just brightens my days when I'm down like that. Because honestly, without her, I'd probably be a mess most days. So physically and mentally.
I'm glad that you're finding a way to overcome your self doubt. And that's a big challenge for a lot of people, no matter what you do. I mean, if you're a filmmaker, if you're a wrestler, self doubt is a
Oh yeah,
huge thing.
definitely. Especially if you're an artist of some sort.
And also, you do dabble a little bit in the filmmaking world because you have to make promotions. You have to do promos. You got to cut these pieces where you're sitting there talking smack to someone. Like, I mean, it's a huge world. So I can see how the self doubt could kind of start to form on you, and you got to push through that. I think that's cool that you're learning to overcome that.
Luckily enough, when it comes to promotions or doing promos, I don't want to say easy to me, but when I get the flow going, I get the flow going. I never realized I could be a good mic guy, so it's nice that I am able to do that with not too many takes. My wonderful girlfriend usually films all of them, and she will be outside freezing with me while I take 14 takes saying the same 5 words. Like I said, she makes sure I have good lighting for podcasts, and it's yeah. Besides that, though, really the only art, I mean, all of it are artistic, but building the weapons and shooting the promos, and really it's planning, 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 planning.
Nice.
It's preparation, mental preparation. Physically, I'm fine. Like I don't go into a match like I know a lot of people they'll put on headphones and get really pumped up before a match, and you see them pacing in the locker room and this and that. And I'm able to flip a switch really easily. I'm really just laughy jokey, and then my music will hit, and I'll come through that curtain, and it's all business. I mean, it's also pleasure, but which is also funny. I'm not very much a serious person, so when I come out, and it's hard to keep a straight face, especially when like people are chanting your name, or you know what I mean. Like,
Oh, I've seen you caked in blood, laying on the floor, covered in tacks, covered in broken glass, and I hear people chanting hardcore, hardcore, and you'll look up and you just start smiling. And I'm like, what is wrong with this man? Just blood coming through your face, dripping out of your mouth, and you're just the biggest shit-eating grin I've ever seen.
I absolutely love
It's really charming.
it. Yes, it is one of my better qualities.
so, so moving along, this is actually a fun question I enjoy asking a lot of my artists that come on here, and I'm really curious for you how this might be answered. So, what's something unexpected you've had to face? Perhaps it's something that you learned in the moment while doing this.
Oh, you have to be able to improvise.
So unexpected just comes with the territory then.
99% of the time you have, a game plan going into a match, or, you know what I mean, a show. But I mean, anything could happen, you know what I mean? Like when there's more than one person involved, there's always the variable. So let's say I'm in a match and, something doesn't go as planned. You really need to be, on your game to be able to fill in the blanks, or, you know what I mean, get that crowd going. Or, let's say, a move doesn't work according to plan. You can either, try that move again or move on, or, same thing with like weaponry. Let's say, something doesn't break, you know what I mean? Like, oh, here's the big finale and it doesn't go according to plan. You better have a plan B. If you don't have a plan B, you better make one up on the spot.
I think actually in last night's match that you were in, I actually saw, I believe Tarzan tried to hit you with one of the tubes and they didn't bust. And I think you just took it from him and smashed yourself over the head with it and then cut your chest. And I was like, what the hell? It was crazy.
I'm a glutton for self-punishment. I'm heavily covered in tattoos. I very much compare deathmatch to almost like getting tattoos. The physical is very therapeutic to me. So when in doubt, I will definitely smash something over my own head, or, chew on some glass. The crowd goes crazy for it. And,
Yeah.
people pay to see me, either tear somebody up or tear myself up. So that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't hurt me. So especially if it comes from myself, it doesn't even register as anything. So I love when the crowd goes crazy with that. I enjoy doing it. And like you said earlier, preparing for weaponry. Like I didn't discover I could eat light tubes until I ate a light tube.
That's a great way to learn, I guess. Please, anyone out there listening, don't eat light tubes.
Yeah, I've cut my mouth a couple times here and there, but I mean, I cut the rest of my body here and there anyway. So what does it matter? Kids with flesh wounds.
Thank you for answering that, by the way.
Yes,
And that's
of
cool. I mean, yeah, in the wrestling world, in deathmatch, I guess literally everything is unexpected. You are in the moment constantly, like just, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we do.
Yep.
I think that's cool. You're literally adapting to everything. So moving along, what's a hard reality you've had to deal with and accept? Something discouraging, but you pushed through it, or maybe you resolved it, or maybe perhaps it's a hard reality that to this day you're still having to deal with.
Honestly, just knowing in the back of my mind that I'm not the best at what I do, but it's also very humbling at the same time to know that I'm not the best. It gives me a goal, it gives me a drive, it makes me want to improve constantly. But I mean, there's been shows where I've gotten feedback from other wrestlers or other, promoters and this and that, and you're not going to win over everybody. So, some of that feedback is negative, some of that feedback is positive, but you can only take it as a learning experience. And like I said, just I've had full on mental breakdowns about stuff like that. And you can either, get past it and try to do better, or you can dwell in it and have it completely ruin you. And I mean, I've had, days at a time where I just was a lump in bed because I just didn't feel like I was good enough at what I do or this and that. But I pull out of it. Like I said, my girlfriend is very much a big help with that. She's very reassuring.
It's definitely an anchor for you. Keeps you grounded. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. That's really the only issue I have with deathmatch is just that self-attack on the brain, but it's only because I'm so relatively new to it that it's all just a process of learning how to process it. But that's really the only thing I can think of. Like I have no complaints about any of the aspects of it. Like the travel doesn't bother me, the physical violence doesn't bother me. As far as I know, no one talks smack about me. I try to be a good person. I try to do this the right way. I try to do this my way. I don't go out of my way to be a douchebag. If I can get somebody else booked on a show, I will do that. I try to get people jobs all the time. I spread the good word. I feel like if I keep giving back and just, be a good person, that I'll get there. You know what I mean? And I feel like I am getting there and I'm able to do it on my own terms, which is awesome. I'm just a humble dude who loves what he does, and I try to be a good guy, and it seems to be working. So knock on wood.
Yeah, you're doing great so far. At least from me, you got my vote, man.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate your answer. It feels really honest and genuine coming from you, because I think it's hard for a lot of us artists, myself included, to admit that we're not that great at first. It takes time. It takes, developing and growing and learning to get really good. We don't all just start off with this magical ability to be great at what we want to be great at. We go for being great at what we want to be great at. We strive for it. We work for it. We earn that shit. And
Yes.
I think you're well on your way to getting there. So thank you for your honest answer. I
Oh
appreciate
man,
that.
thank you. I feel like I don't ever want to become the greatest, because what's the point after that? You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
I mean, it's good to be on the top, but then you can fall so very far. I just want to keep climbing forever. That's really all there is to it. Like, I don't ever want to reach the top of the mountain, because then you have to climb down the mountain, and
Right?
I'm not one to do that. I've had many jobs in the past where artistic jobs where I've completely given up because I didn't feel like I was good enough or even remotely good to even be a part of it. Special effects. I lived in LA for a while, and that completely tore me apart mentally, because I saw, my contemporaries just completely blowing me out of the water with their skills, and then, that sucked all the passion out of it for me. I used to be a tattoo artist for a while, same thing. I used to have this thing where if I loved to do something, it couldn't be a job, because then it wasn't a love anymore. This is not that. This has become a thing that I am the most passionate about, and it's yes, it's a job, but it's also just my love. Like that's.
Well, and you mentioned earlier too that, like, you've had opportunity, and I don't know if we said it on the show or if this was something we had a conversation outside of the recording, but you had mentioned to me that, you've had this opportunity to work with many people that you've looked up to, that you got a chance to be in the same locker room as, some that you even got to have matches with. So you know for a fact going into this, you are working with people that will blow you out of the water. But it's one of those things where it's like a great moment, because it's like, you don't care. You're like, no, this is awesome, because the whole point of wrestling is there is no win or lose. It's surviving. It's making it through to the end and having that moment to share with the other wrestlers, especially wrestlers that you respect. And I think that's awesome that you get this moment to be like, yeah, I know you're fantastic. I know you're blowing me out of the water. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it to me, that you're putting me on the same moment with you. I get to share that experience in the ring with you. That's awesome.
I have goosebumps right now. Yeah. I mean, you absolutely nailed it. The fact that I get to, wrestle against, I mean, some of the I've been in the ring with some crazy names. In Ruthless Pro, I was in the ring with Chuck Stein, who is a Detroit legend, and Doctor Adapted, who is, I mean, probably the hottest up and comer right now. Like, he is all over the place, and being the low man on the totem pole, if you will, in a match like that. It's all a learning experience. You take what you will from the match. You take that feedback. You improve or you change something, and it's bonkers, man. Like I said, once I ever lose that fanboy passion, I know I'm done with it. But I don't think that's going to happen ever, because this has just been getting better and better as I go. Every time I've taken 2 steps back, I've taken 5 steps forward. So
That's how it should be.
it just keeps going, and I love the momentum. I try to keep that up as much as possible. As you know from my Instagram, I'm constantly posting deathmatch stuff from other wrestlers, from other promotions. I just like to spread the good word. It's just something that I love, and now it turned into something that I also do. The fact that I love it and do it, I like supporting the entire scene. I like supporting good people. That's really all there is to it. Like, I'm not in it to win it. I'm not in it to lose it. I'm just in it.
I love it. Well,
Yes.
and I was about to ask you, what is your most valuable takeaway from your entire experience with wrestling? But I feel like you may have answered that. But please, if you want to enlighten me on anything, what is the most valuable takeaway you've had from this entire experience of yours?
Stay humble. That's really it. Be thankful for what you have, because I mean, nobody has to give me an opportunity. Nobody has to give me a shot, but they do. And I have people who are actually fans of mine, and like I've been answering messages all day just from my match last night. Just people messaging me from watching it and from being there, and telling me how awesome it was to see, and this and that. And like, I mean, if you ever get a chance to talk to my girlfriend, she will tell you how often I cry tears of joy just because I get to do what I do. After my match last night, I think I probably sobbed for most of the night, just because I was so happy to even be there and be a part of it. And then I got my first pro win, and I had fans. I gave a fan my gloves that I wore last night. I wore them for the past 3 matches that I had, and he cried, and that made
That's
me
awesome.
cry. And like that is a feeling that I've never felt prior to this. When you're an artist, whatever art you do, you can either have somebody tell you you're the greatest or this and that, and if you don't have that humble and you get that chip on your shoulder, I feel like it changes you, and I don't ever want to change like that. I want to stay this. I want to stay very much aware of what I have and very thankful for it. And I don't take it for granted at all. I take every word of feedback from fans, from promoters, from other wrestlers. I take it to heart. That's really it. Just know that this could end tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, who's to say? I'm not getting any younger. I'm 38 years old, and I'm gonna do this until my body either falls apart, or deathmatch isn't a thing anymore, or the world ends, whichever. It's probably
Yeah.
leaning towards the world ending, but
Well, and I appreciate your honesty, and I agree with you too. You should never change who you are. You should only be growing as an artist. You should only be becoming better. And that's not a change in personality. That's a change in your skills. That's a development, and that's a good thing.
yes, I agree with that 100%.
And we talked a little bit ago about the unexpected, how in the ring you're constantly dealing with the unexpected. But I wanted to ask you something about the expected. What is it that you wanted from all of this?
Really, I'm just a fan of the carnage.
Good answer. Simple, sweet. I like it.
I love bleeding buckets, as crazy as that sounds. I really have Mick Foley to thank, Cactus Jack, because I
That's
mean,
right. Dude, love mankind, jack of all trades.
I've got to meet him a couple of times. He's the nicest man in the world. But I mean, growing up, being a fan, and then just finding out that you can do this on this level, and being okay and continuously doing it. Like, obviously, I have to heal up, so I'll take a week or two in between matches. But yeah, that's really it. Like, I do it because I love the carnage, and I love the bloodshed, and I love being physical like that.
Hell yeah.
I've done physical sports my whole life. I did martial arts for a while. I played football, stuff like that.
So you just want carnage. You just want blood.
Yeah, really. I enjoy hitting other people in the ring. I don't mind getting hit. It's really just a mindset, I guess.
Well, and I feel like part of what you said might answer my next question for you, which is, what's your drive, man? What motivates you?
Be sicker than the last time. That's really it. I like to one up myself as much as humanly possible.
It's a great way to grow.
Yeah, that's why I usually try to come up with something new and crazy for the next match from the previous match. Like, I've never taken a gusset chair before, but as soon as that fan said he was making one, I said, "Oh, you better believe I'm taking that." Same thing with like the Kenzan. I enjoy being the sickest.
I like that you look at sharp objects and go, this could be fun.
So I used to work at Lowe's in the lumber department, which is also the gusset department. And I would literally be walking around work and like piecing things together as I'm working. And yeah, I mean, that's literally it. Like even my girlfriend will be walking in the store and she'll be like, "How about this?" It's
That's
really, if
wild.
it's sharp and pointy, or if it looks like it's going to cause some carnage, then I'm all for it. I always try to one up myself. I don't try to one up other people because I'm really the only person I'm competing with.
Yeah, that
Like I
makes
said
sense.
earlier, like there's obviously people who are greater than me. There are people who are, I don't want to say not as good as me, because I don't like to judge anyone based on any of that, skills or anything, because, I know I'm not the most skilled. But yeah, as long as I can one up myself, or, make myself feel like I did more than last time, I'm totally okay.
Good answer. I like it.
Thanks, man.
I got one last question for you. It's very easy. And I just want to know, man, is there any advice or something that you would like to say to anyone out there looking to get into this crazy world of indie deathmatch wrestling, or just to be an indie wrestler in general?
Work hard. Don't give up on yourself. Make sure that you know what you're getting into. It's very much a lifestyle. It's not just a, hey, I'm just going to go do this a little bit. You know what I mean? You either do or you don't.
Shit or get off the pot.
That's really it. You're either all in or you're all out. There's no, one foot in the door, one foot out the door. I mean, you have to have passion, you have to have drive. Luckily, I have both in spades. So other than that, really just, just keep working, because I mean, it pays off. It does. Like, even if you are ready to give up, don't, because like I said, there's been days where I've without reassurance, I was probably ready to throw in the towel just based on, a mindset or something like that. But you got to believe in yourself, even when you don't.
Absolutely. So, Hardcore, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you opening up, telling us all about your journey and your experience through deathmatch wrestling. It's been really exciting to talk to you, mainly because I'm biased. I'm a huge fan of wrestling in general. I'm so excited to have an indie wrestler on my show, especially one that does badass shit like yourself. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, getting to talk to you. I follow your Instagram. I love watching the clips you put up. And thanks to the clips you put up for other shows and other promotions, I get to see some really cool matches that are out there. So I highly recommend fans of wrestling to definitely check your work out and check out all the stuff that you post for other companies out there, for other promoters out there, other great matches that are going on. Right now, this is, as you know, a podcast about the independent artist. This is all about you. You've been talking this whole time, but I want to turn it over to you one more time to just put yourself out there. How can we follow Hardcore? Where can we see your matches? Do you have any awesome shows coming up soon? Just lay it out on us, please.
Awesome. Yeah. So, they call me Hardcore for obvious reasons. The only social media I use currently is Instagram. You can find me at no_guts_no_gory on Instagram. Let's see, what do I got coming up? I have,
I love that name, by the way. No guts, no gory. It's great.
So, do you know where I got that from? Tales from the Crypt episode. That was one of his little jokes. He's like, you know what they say, no guts, no gory. Yes. I've had that forever. That used to be my handle for like Tumblr, and I mean, I think I had it on Facebook and maybe
But
even
it's such a great handle, as especially someone in your profession now.
Yep, it definitely carried over, which has been awesome, and I've been able to use it, and then now it's on T-shirts. I have a couple things coming up. Some matches for True Wrestling Underground in March. Some no ring action. Like we said earlier, I'm going to Tennessee for Brad Cash's birthday bash. In February, I am wrestling in Rochester for Extreme Wrestling Force with such legends as ECW's Shane Douglas. Which is so absolutely awesome. Crazy. You can buy my merch at Deathmatch Worldwide. I have 3 designs up there right now, which is still absolutely surreal to me, because when I was starting out, like I have bought shirts from them for many years now. So the fact that I'm able to sell shirts there is very surreal to me. But yeah, other than that, if you want to book me or get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Instagram, which I just said, no guts, no gory. But yeah, I'm always open to take bookings. I'm always able to talk to fans, contemporaries, other artists, anyone who wants to do any work together, videos, anything really. I'm very much open to working with everybody to progress myself and others. I'm always looking to uplift. If I'm raising up, all of my friends are raising up. If I'm going somewhere, I'm taking someone with me. So hit me up. Thank you for having me on. This has been absolutely wonderful. One of the easiest podcasts I've ever done.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Especially from another Savini alumni, so that's very cool.
Right.
Yes, I appreciate talking. This has been super easy. My body is healing nicely, so this has been nice and chill.
Good.
Yes.
No, I really appreciate you coming on, man. And hey, look, personally for myself, anytime you're in the Los Angeles area and you got a show coming on, let me know. I am there 100% because I want to see you live, man. I love watching your clips on Instagram. I love being able to stream some of your shows on YouTube and Independent Wrestling TV. It's been great. And I look forward to seeing you do more stuff. I look forward to watching your career just keep growing and keep expanding because you're doing some insane shit out there and it's awesome. So
Thanks,
thank
man.
you, Hardcore. Really appreciate it.
I have not been out to California yet for wrestling, but I'm slowly expanding. This is my first time going down south soon. I'm dabbling in the Midwest, so I have a feeling that California is coming soon. So
Hell yeah.
as soon as that happens, you will be the first to know. And we'll definitely hang out and partake in many things. And, you know,
It's good times all around. I love it.
I need to get out there. I miss LA.
To all my listeners out there, I hope you found something encouraging and inspiring during this. Hopefully, you're not as insane as my guest, but if you are, just know you're not alone. If you want to put your body to the limit, you want to put yourself out there, you want to be an indie wrestler, please take to heart the experience, the personal journey of Hardcore and what he's gone through. It can only go up from there. I hope that, you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. And if you're a fan, definitely check out Hardcore's work, check out his merch, support him. He's an amazing artist, an amazing wrestler, and he does amazing shit for your entertainment. So until next time, everyone, stay golden. Thanks for listening. Please be sure to rate and review and click that subscribe button for new bi-weekly episodes. As always, the theme music is provided by The Erica Page. Follow us on social media at IPA Sessions Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now we have a TikTok and YouTube. All information and links are in the show notes. So show some love and support for these amazing indie artists. And if you'd like to come on and share your journey as an independent artist, reach out to me via email at ipasessionspodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, I hope you found some inspirations for practical application and entertainment.